Hello, my darlings. It's me. I'm back again after a 2-week break. Well, a sort of a break. I never really have a break, but I did. I managed to take time to breathe, which was lovely, which leads me on to what I would love to share with you today. Just a few little breathing techniques, because for a lot of us, our kids are going into, the dreaded sausage factory of GCSEs, even though they've missed out on loads of their education and come through COVID. And I found out as well, a lot of the mental health budget, which was released by the government, has been spent on extra online after school lessons for our children. So really helpful. Thanks for that. Wonderful. So I'm really trying to breathe, because otherwise I'm going to get a bit cross. I don't get cross often, but that really made me cross. It's a bit naughty, isn't it? It's a bit like when we get funding for our children, it all goes into a melting pot in schools and it doesn't come with your child's name on it. So, hold those schools accountable for those of you who have fought so hard for your funding, because I would hate for you to go through what I went through with my son, Ollie, when I fought so hard for his. And it just disappeared. So there we go. It's legal. It's perfectly legal. So be careful. Anyway, so breathing is your superpower. And the reason I mean this is it's not only been proven on an anatomical, physiological, neuroscientific level, which I'll explain about in a minute. I'll try not to get too nerdy though, because I know I can go on a bit. I get so excited. But it will really help your kids and you get through this next period, even if they're not doing GCSEs. You could have a child with a disability, a different ability. We all, whatever our little label is on our jam jar, we all need to breathe at times. So it's really important. And just to let you know, it's a bit like, you can do yoga to open up and energize yourself, but you can do yoga to bring yourself down, bring that energy down. And breathing, which is part of yoga, is exactly the same. So when we do big energizing breaths, that really fires up 37.2 trillion of our cells, which are, really are activated all the time by the subconscious, but it also pushes blood and oxygen up to the brain. And when we're under stress, did you know that the actual blood and oxygen to your brain, which really helps fire up those higher brain functions, perspective, judgment, attention, focus, motivation, clear thinking, all of those things, it's actually the blood and oxygen to your brain is reduced by 40%. 40%. That's over a third. It's nearly half. It's a lot. So with regular breathing, and it doesn't need to take very long, you can just do it for 5 minutes a day, it will have a significant impact on your body. It will, when you do the softer breaths as well, that also helps to push the serotonin and dopamine up from your gut. It helps to really reduce those stress levels. It helps to bring that energy, that fight or flight energy right down. It grounds you. But what it also does is it fills your body with a hormone called nonadrenaline. And that is key. That is an amazing hormone for perspective, focus and clear thinking. So it actually combats that horrible cortisol, the stress hormone. It gives it a flipping good bash. So it's amazing what our bodies do. So we're getting all this happy hormones, the hormones of attention, focus and positivity, reward being pushed up from our gut into our brain. So breathing, it's free and it's at your disposal at any time. So I'm going to share with you a few. Oh, also another thing I meant to say to you is that with regular practice, so not immediately, but with if you practice mindful breathing regularly, it actually shrinks the grey matter around the amygdala, the emotional brain, which is inside our cognitive brain. So we haven't got an emotional brain floating around outside. It's not some sort of fluffy well-being. It's part of our cognitive brain. And when we do regular mindful breathing, that helps to reduce the grey matter around the amygdala, also known as the fear center. So it's actually where the fight or flight button is located. How amazing that they now know that. So, you know, if you've got lots of grey matter around your emotional brain, you will have been under a lot of fear-based feelings for quite some time, fight or flight, you know, worry, stress. But if you do this mindful breathing, they've actually proven now through neural imaging, MRI scanning, that it actually shrinks that grey matter. But what it also does, it grows the grey matter around your frontal lobe. And that, as I've said in previous videos, contains all those higher or executive brain functions: attention, focus, concentration, problem solving, keeping things in perspective, seeing consequences, all of those really vital things, that the rational side of our brains. So breathing, you know, it's not some airy-fairy thing. It's actually an incredible tool that you can use independently for yourselves. So really empowering. And for a lot of you out there, because as we all know, waiting lists to get your child diagnosed, it was already hard enough. But because of COVID, it's now 3 to 5 years waiting list in many counties, including where I live in Somerset, unless you've got 400 quid to spare in your pocket, you know, like you do, to go off and get diagnosed privately by an occupational therapist. And that's just the starting price. So I'm actually working with kids at the moment going into GCSEs who are autistic. They do have ADHD, but they've run out of time to be diagnosed. So they're full on going into these full halls, going through that process with absolutely no support. So honestly, please use these breathing exercises because they will help you. So I keep promising I'm going to stop making documentaries and short films, and I'm sorry, we're already 7 minutes in. You probably want to stab your phones. So I'm gonna share this now because I've bombarded you with enough nerdy stuff. But I love to share knowledge. I'm always learning more and more and more. And, you know, I'm sick of people just hoarding their knowledge or charging a fortune for it. And as long as I've got breath in my body, I'm going to share. So I just hope some of it helps and I don't drive you all nuts. So the first one I'm going to show you is cloud breathing. Now, this is quite a strong breath. So what that will do is energize the body, you know, fill it. It will push that serotonin and dopamine up from the gut. And you can make it really, really visual. And I call it cloud breathing. And what I do is I imagine this big, fat, grumpy grey cloud above my head. And I actually do this myself. And I put into it everything I'm worried about. I've actually done it this morning. I use this all the time. I do practice what I preach. So you imagine a big cloud above you. And as you breathe in through your nose, and it's really important you breathe in through your noses, because a lot of our children who are under long-term fight or flight or who have a different ability, they're often what we call mouth breathers. So it's a much shallower breath. And when you breathe in through your nose, you're taking in the oxygen in a different way. And it's a much more intense way of pushing that blood and oxygen to the brain to bring focus and perspective, fire up that nonadrenaline, which is what we want to be full of. So what I tend to do, because I'm I'm Italian, so I always use my hands, even if I'm on the phone and people can't see me. I do. It's really embarrassing, actually. And I just breathe in like this, and I close my eyes because I'm really, really, really visual person. You don't have to close your eyes, you know, if you're not comfortable to. So I breathe in and I literally gather up all my worries and stress and I breathe in through my nose. And then I put all those horrible, negative thoughts into my cloud and I blow it as hard as I can, like this. And I actually push it as well. You don't have to be quite so exuberant. You could just literally breathe in your worries and blow them into your cloud. That was almost normal for me. Obviously, that one, you might get told off if you do it in the middle of an exam. So it's probably best to do that before an exam. Or if you're on public transport and you suddenly did it and you know, you made the person next to you jump. You know, those are the ones you want to kind of do more, you know, in your own space. But it's a good one. It's a good one to do. So you breathe in, gather up your worries and send them across, send them away. Let the sunshine come back in your life as you fill with all the happy hormones and coping chemicals that your body needs for the day. Oh my God, I just love my job. So the next one you can do is, I want to really get all of this zooming around your body. So I've made a little note here of the ones I want to share. So the next one is hand breathing. Now this one, because the breath isn't as fierce, you can actually do it. Say you were feeling overwhelmed in an exam, or just generally overwhelmed, or, you know, I do it sometimes before I go to bed. If I've had a really, 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 really busy day and I've taken on an awful lot from other people, because I do struggle a bit with the detachment thing. So, you know, I go to bed at that night with everybody I've seen that day and some from last week. I know that sounds a bit odd, but I worry about everybody. So sometimes I have to just think, right, Juliana, you need your sleep. You need to just let it go and just breathe, literally. So you get the index finger of your opposite hand, and as you go up your each digit, you breathe in through your nose if you can. If you've got a cold or something, obviously, you know, you can do it through your mouth, but ideally through your nose. So you trace, you literally have contact. So this is really good for people who are severely autistic, where they literally don't know where they end and outside begins. It's a really grounding one, and it really does bring you into the now. So you could do this underneath a desk in an exam, as I say, or if you're in a lesson you're finding difficult, or you are on public transport and you're somebody who struggles with that, or you've got a talk or a meeting coming up or an interview with your boss. You know, this is for everybody, not just if you have a disability, different ability, special need. So breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And it's a softer one. You can probably barely hear me breathe when I go out. In through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And then, because your hands relate to the muscles in your brain, isn't it fantastic? Oh my God. Then you do the other side. So you activate the other side of the brain. So we're doing loads of things at once, just from this simple breathing exercise. So remember, when you go up, you breathe in. So I've speeded it up a little bit because I don't want you all throwing darts at your screen thinking this woman never flipping shuts up. She never gets on. I do feel for you. But I do this a good 3 times, really slowly, before I go to bed, because it absolutely grounds me. When I've had to do public speaking before, and I always worry because I write a different talk for every single thing I ever do, because no 2 situations are the same, and I want to give my best. So I get worried about it. I do. I get really, you know, it doesn't come across that way when I'm speaking, because once I'm on my flow, I'm on my flow. But before, I'm really nervous because I'm thinking, oh God, you know, I really hope I help. I really, you know, I want to desperately, passionately get across what I need to do. And this absolutely brings me to the present, to the moment, and calms my heart rate, lowers my blood pressure, and I can feel I'm good to go. So honestly, these things work. They've been neuroscientifically proven. So the next one I want to show you is heart breathing, and I love this one. So you literally, I have to draw a heart because I'm Italian. I have to explain this, but it does help to visualize it and get your arms moving, you know. Don't forget, you know, your arms are all about, you know, Are you up in arms? Are you using your arms as your armor? Are you all, body language says a lot. But when we open up the heart, we're letting go of what we don't need to carry. We're opening our heart so that we breathe deeper and better and bring that serotonin and dopamine up. So I do this. And obviously, if you were standing on a train platform or a bus stop and you suddenly started doing this, you might look a bit weird. So again, this is one that you just do, in your own space and time. So you breathe in through your nose, draw a big, gorgeous heart, and then you come down and you breathe out. And I actually feel it. I know this sounds weird. I can actually feel it, and I'm sure a lot of you lot will. You can actually feel your energy balance as you go down. It's like a physical feeling. It's incredible. So breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And that you're balancing the left and right side of the brain. You're lowering your heart rate and blood pressure, and you're pushing up your happy hormones and coping chemicals, and opening up the lungs, the diaphragm, boosting immunity, preventing that awful hyperventilation, overwhelm feeling. And this is really, really, honestly, so effective. And the final one I'm going to show you is feather breathing. And this is super fine. So when you do it, you should barely hear your own breath when you breathe out. And it's incredibly calming. And again, it's one you can do. I do use my hands a lot. But if you're in an exam, or as I say, it could even be something at work. This is for all ages, all abilities. Absolutely everybody can do this. Whatever your mobility, whatever your situation, you can do this. And so when you breathe in very, very finely through your nose, you could even just put your head on the desk put your elbows on the desk for a minute, hold your head and imagine the feather, and very, very softly breathe out. And because it's so gentle, you're not going to disturb anybody, but what it's going to do is pump your brain full of that nonadrenaline, the combat to stress, and it's going to really calm you down. The calmer the breath, the more your energy will calm down and drop. This is the thing to remember. So when we breathe out hard, we're energizing ourselves. When we breathe out very, very finely, we're calming ourselves and bringing our perspective, clear thinking, problem solving, those things. We're bringing that all back. We're stimulating the frontal lobe and actually growing the grey matter around that. Our physical brains stop growing at around 18, but what we do with the grey matter inside them is up to us if we live to be 120. So don't let anybody define you. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. Don't let anybody tell you you're stupid or give you any sort of unofficial label, because you define you. And using positive self-talk, which I'll do another time, but breathing and all these things I share with you have an actual long-term effect on the grey matter around the hippocampus, memory and learning. It grows it, shrinks it around the fear center, the emotional brain, and grows it around the frontal lobe. And this is neuroscientifically proven. So I'm going to show you feather breathing. So me being me, I have to close my eyes and imagine a feather, breathing in through my nose. And then what I want to do is not let the feather move. So I'm going to blow and imagine that I just want that beautiful feather. You can give it a colour. Mine's always white for some reason. Just gently flow down, but you're not going to disturb it. So the breathing is really fine. So I'll show you it Italian style, and then I'll show you it English exam style, or English classroom style, or interview meeting with the boss style, so you don't freak them out. So here we go. So you breathe in, and here comes the feather. So you won't have heard my breath. So this is one. So say I was in an exam or about to have a meeting, right? I would imagine the feather. I'd breathe in through my nose. And I'm still imagining the feather. and I've watched it float down without blowing it. So you can do this really discreetly and at any time. So I really hope these have helped. I've totally broken my promise and done a 20-minute video. Oh my God. If you want to know more about these breathing techniques, if you log on to annakennedyonline.com, the fabulous autism charity, which I'm the wellbeing ambassador for, there'll be all the neuroscience, there'll be literally a 1-minute read article with pictures of the breathing techniques, which you can freely, with my blessing, download and share with your clients, your family, your friends, your classroom, you know. So that there's that. And if you think that my videos are helpful, if a little bit long, please, honestly, recommend me to people. You know, this is free. You know, I don't make a penny from this, as I often say, I really don't. And I just want to help people. I really, really do. So if you find my channel useful, please share it on. I don't buy subscribers. I never, ever would. Everything I do is with absolute integrity. So, you know, subscribe, do a little thumbs up, get my serotonin going, and share my work, you know. So it's lovely to see you again. Have a fabulous week, and I will be back next week with some more tips and therapies to share, just to help us all through this next patch. Lots of love, everybody. Thank you for putting up with me.